82 days left until the midterms. I'm Catherine Rampell, sitting in for my friend and colleague Ali Velshi. Back on February 13th, Donald Trump took a trip down to Fort Bragg in North Carolina. He was there to honor the special forces who had captured the Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro just a month earlier. During that speech, he told the soldiers and their families that they had his total support and that the U.S. military would be in great shape under his watch.
As long as I'm president, we will be the best led, the best trained, the best equipped, the most disciplined, and the most elite fighting force the world has ever seen. That's what we've turned out to be, and everybody knows it.
2 weeks after Trump gave that speech, the United States launched another military operation, this time in Iran. But unlike that mission in Venezuela, the war with Iran was not a one-day operation. In fact, it is now approaching the 6-month mark, far longer than the 4 to 6 weeks that Trump initially said it would last. And today, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said that the U.S. Navy can maintain a blockade on Iranian ports indefinitely. In fact, with no clear end in sight, it's taking a tremendous toll on the service members who have been deployed to fight Trump's war of choice. The problem has been growing more intense by the day for the 5,000 plus crew members aboard the aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln. The ship left its home port of San Diego back on November 21st, 2025. Its crew believed it was setting sail for a routine 7-month deployment. But then they were sent to the Arabian Sea to support the operations against Iran. They're now approaching their 9th month of deployment. During all of that time, the sailors have spent a total of only 2 days off of the ship. And as of right now, they still have no return date. According to the family of service members aboard the USS Lincoln, morale is very low. MS Now reporters Priya Schritter and Lindsay Papia learned today that at least one sailor, a 19-year-old aircraft mechanic, jumped overboard last week, and that he was in the water for an hour before he was actually rescued. In an exclusive interview, the wife of that sailor told MS Now that her husband recently expressed concerns about his own mental health. In one text message, he told her, quote, "I think the boat is finally getting to me, and I really don't think I can keep up my peace act anymore. You were right about it all not being okay. We were supposed to leave Fifth Fleet on July 15th, but then something had to come up, and my last hope of being home soon was gone. I'm really trying to not feel negative or hopeless, but between the Wi-Fi and not knowing when I will come home and not knowing what is happening back at home, it's really getting to me. I don't think I can do another deployment after this, and I don't even know if I can finish this deployment." The Navy Times, a publication that specializes on issues related to the U.S. Navy, also reported this week that multiple sailors have actually tried to jump off the USS Lincoln recently. And it's not just the extended deployment that's causing people's mental health to deteriorate. Conditions on board the USS Lincoln have been terrible as well. Sailors are bathing in these moldy shower stalls, sometimes without hot water. Some toilets haven't been usable due to plumbing issues, and laundry facilities have been broken for weeks at a time. There's been a shortage on food, as well as personal hygiene products like soap, toothpaste, deodorant, something that officials acknowledged during a tense meeting with military families last week. Despite these accounts from the family of service members, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said today that the living conditions on the USS Lincoln have been, quote, completely misrepresented, unquote. But these reports seem to have made a difference. The Wall Street Journal is reporting tonight that the United States is preparing to send the USS George Washington to replace the USS Lincoln in the Middle East. Joining me now to discuss all of this is Democratic Congressman Seth Moulton of Massachusetts. He's a member of the House Armed Services Committee and a former U.S. Marine. He is also a Democratic candidate for U.S. Senate in Massachusetts. Congressman, ultimately, this story is about military members' safety aboard the USS Lincoln. What is your reaction to these reports?
Well, first of all, it's amazing. The motto of the USS Abraham Lincoln is "shall not perish," which of course refers to President Lincoln's statement about our government in the Gettysburg Address. But the idea that its own sailors would be perishing, not due to enemy fire, but due to their own low morale, is just unbelievable. And it speaks to how clueless this administration is about how to end the war. One of the reasons that they cannot get supplies and they can't get the ship's personnel on land for a day or two is because they can't even go into any ports in the area. That's because this war is not only a disaster, it's completely backfired. It's made the region less safe for us and our allies. Normally they would be able to pull into a port, but they can't do that anywhere in the region. So this administration has to figure it out. And it's pretty obvious they're lying about the conditions. Otherwise, they wouldn't send an aircraft carrier, rush it over to relieve the Abraham Lincoln.
Speaking about what is being represented or misrepresented about the conditions there, the wife of the 19-year-old sailor who jumped overboard told MS Now that she was not contacted by military officials about the incident until 4 days after it had already happened. She said, quote, "I think that it was handled very poorly because they didn't inform me and they didn't want me to know. And they're just trying to cover this up." Is that how you read this situation too, Congressman, as a cover-up?
They're trying to cover up everything. I mean, they're trying to cover up every aspect of this war that is a total disaster. Remember, the administration for weeks on weeks has covered up the simple fact that a lot of U.S. military facilities have been destroyed. The administration changed the casualty numbers to try to cover up the number of service members who have been killed in this disastrous war. The administration has covered up the cost repeatedly, including to our congressional committee. So it should not surprise anyone that they're trying to cover up the disaster aboard this ship.
Even as Pete Hegseth, the defense secretary, is saying that these reports are overblown, it has been reported tonight that the USS George Washington is prepared to head to the Arabian Gulf, as we just discussed, to replace the USS Lincoln. How can we make sure, how can Congress members make sure that the same conditions, the same low morale and other problems don't happen to the sailors on board the USS Washington? How do you actually hold the Pentagon accountable for taking care of our sailors?
Well, the straightforward answer to your question is that we need to hold investigations because obviously we cannot trust Pete Hegseth or this administration. But more broadly, we need to stop this dumb war and we need to fire Pete Hegseth. That's what really needs to happen. And some of us have been working to build a coalition behind the scenes to do so. Importantly, trying to get Republicans to find the simple courage to admit what they do in classified briefings, that this is a disaster, that it needs to stop, actually in public. They need to say this in public to hold the administration accountable the way a few of us Democrats are doing. You see Democrats who are veterans on the committee lining up against this war. We all voted against the defense bill. We've got to stop this before it gets worse. That's the bottom line here with what's going on.
Secretary Hegseth told reporters today that we could maintain this blockade indefinitely. How is an indefinite blockade different from a forever war or a forever military commitment?
It's not. He's clueless. He doesn't know what to do, Catherine. I mean, he's again started a war of choice that we're not only losing, but is completely backfired because the Iranians are projecting more power today than they ever have in modern history. I mean, when in the entire history of the world has the Iranian regime strangled the world economy? Well, they're doing that thanks to Trump and Hegseth's war. So that's why this has just got to stop. And that's why Congress has got to do a much better job of holding the administration accountable for this disaster.
The family members of the sailors on board the USS Lincoln have also been trying to do what they can to hold the Pentagon accountable. Last week, about 200 military family members had a tense meeting with military officials, including the acting Navy Secretary. MS Now reported that, quote, one woman questioned the mission and said she found it difficult to be proud of her sailor when she believed the military was, quote, killing innocent civilians, unquote, and her sailor expressed guilt about what he was doing. Her comment was met with applause from the audience. Polls have consistently shown, Congressman, that Trump's war with Iran is very unpopular. Many Americans still don't understand why we are fighting this war. Are you concerned about what effect this war will have on the American military's reputation, preparedness, the potential for moral injury for sailors like the one who was discussed at this meeting?
Look, all of those things are concerned. You didn't mention the fact that this war has put us in a far worse place to prevent other wars from happening around the globe. I mean, how are we supposed to deter and prevent a war with China when we've used up all our munitions in the Middle East and we're trapped there in a forever war? That could literally lead to World War III. So this is just a disaster across the board. It's a disaster for our troops. It's a moral travesty. Think about all those Iranian girls who were killed in that school by a U.S. Tomahawk missile. But it's also a strategic disaster where this could lead to more conflict around the world because we're stuck in another war in the Middle East. So that's yet again a reason why this war has to come to an end. But I want to say something too, that, you know, it is really hard to be a U.S. soldier, sailor, airman, or Marine and not believe in the mission. The toughest question that I think I've ever received in my life was from a young 18-year-old Marine in my platoon who just said one night, "Sir, why are we risking our lives for this?" That's a really tough question that I bet officers aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln are getting today from those sailors. Why are we risking our lives for this when it's so clearly a disaster? There's nothing worse for morale than not believing in the mission. And that's why, once again, this war has got to come to an end.
Many of the family members whom MS Now spoke with in reporting out these stories about the USS Abraham Lincoln said that they voted for Donald Trump for president. What is your message to them tonight?
Well, they have a chance to correct that wrong and vote for Democrats to hold the Trump administration accountable in these midterms, because it's patently obvious that the Republican Congress refuses to do so. They're totally subservient to Donald Trump, even when we're losing our troops' lives because of his mistakes. So that's why elections matter. You know, that's why it's time the Democrats start winning again. And some of these sailors and their families can certainly help with that.